Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our current session is about objectives, syllabus, and classroom procedures in audiolingual method. And I hope and expect by the end of this session, you would not only have understanding of the objectives of audiolingual method, but also you would have some insights into the nature of the syllabus and the classroom procedures that are associated with audiolingual method. Well, my dear students, Brooks distinguishes between short-range and long-range objectives of audiolingual method. As far as the short-range objectives are concerned, according to Brooks, following are included. Training in listening comprehension. This is one of the short-range objectives of audiolingual method. Secondly, accurate pronunciation. So the focus is on teaching correct pronunciation. And thirdly, recognition of speech symbols as graphic signs. To be able to identify speech symbols as graphic signs, which means to be able to relate sounds to the letters of the target language. And fourthly, ability to reproduce those symbols in writing. So correlating speech with writing. These are the four short-range objectives. Whereas when it comes to the long-range objectives, they include, number one, language as the native speakers use it. So one of the long-time or long-range objectives of audiolingual method is to enable the learners, to enable the students to use the target language as the native speakers use it. So if it is the teaching and learning of English language through audiolingual method, what would be the target? That the learners are able to use it as the native speakers use it. There must be some knowledge of a second language as it is possessed by a true bilingualist. So having some knowledge of the target language is important, and alongside the knowledge that the bilingual would have of his or her first language, they would go hand in hand. In practice, what does this mean? Focus in the early stages on oral skills with gradual links to other skills as learning develops. So audiolingual method starts with speaking and listening skills, and gradually there is a movement to reading and writing skills. Oral proficiency is equated with accurate pronunciation and grammar, and the ability to respond quickly and accurately in speech situations. So fluency and accuracy both are important, and in the classroom procedures, actually they are taught through the process of drill. So these were the objectives, and when we come to the syllabus of audiolingual method, the syllabus in audiolingual method has its particular or peculiar features. Audiolingualism is a linguistic or structure-based approach to language teaching. The starting point is a linguistic syllabus, which contains the key items of phonology, of morphology, and of syntax of the language, that is the target language, arranged according to their order of presentation, graded according to the difficulty level or the complexity level. The language skills are taught in the order of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So the natural order of skills is followed. Listening is viewed largely as training in oral discrimination of basic sound patterns. So words are broken into, I would say, chunks or pieces or in sounds, and basic discrimination between sounds, where it is s, for example, and where it is z, for example, or where it is s and where it is k, etc. So this differentiation in the sounds is the basic aim of teaching listening in audiolingual method. As far as the learner activities are concerned, they are confined to the audiolingual and gestural visual bands of language behavior. So the teacher, through the gestures, through body movements, or through audio and visual aids, gives the clues. Recognition and discrimination are followed by imitation, repetition, and memorization. So these are three important aspects. Imitation, by copying the model that is provided by the teacher. Repetition, through drill, a habit formation is done, and memorization. By repeating it so many times, the learners memorize it and it becomes almost automatic. When reading and writing are introduced, and of course they're introduced at a comparatively later stage, students are taught to read and write what they have already learned to say orally. So reading and writing follow listening and speaking, and actually it is the reproduction of the same that they have learned at the oral level later on in the writing. An attempt is made to minimize the possibilities for making mistakes in both speaking and writing by using a tightly structured approach, which is based on, habit formation through following the patterns. Well, my dear students, as far as procedures in audiolingual method are concerned, the process of teaching involves extensive oral instruction. The focus of instruction is on immediate and accurate speech, there and then enabling the learners to produce right speech, correct speech. There is little provision for grammatical explanation or talking about the language. So language is practiced. About the language, nothing is told. In other words, rules of language are not told, rather structures are practiced. As far as possible, the target language is used as the medium of instruction, and translation or the use of native language is discouraged. In this method, audiolingual method, often the classes of 10 or fewer students are considered to be optimal, because it is a habit formation process, because there is a lot of drill involved, because a lot of question answering between the teacher and the student is involved. So the lesser the number of students, the better it is considered. But practically larger classes are often the norm. But because in most of the parts of the world, in terms of resource management, it is not possible to have classes with just a few students. So practically the norm is large classes. Brooks has listed the following procedures that are involved. Number one, the modeling of all learnings by the teacher. So the teacher is the role model. The teacher pronounces, the teacher utters something, and the students or the learners follow. Number two, the subordination of the mother tongue to the second language. Mother tongue is not used, its use is discouraged. Thirdly, the early and continued training of the ear and tongue without resource to graphic symbols. The graphic symbols, the pictures, the real life object references, they come on the later stages. First, it is through the ear and through the tongue, through listening and through speaking that the training is given. The learning of structure through the practice of patterns of sound, order and form, rather than explanation. So rules are not explained, rather practice, practice, and practice is the key. Number 5, the gradual substitution of graphic symbols for sounds after sounds are thoroughly known. There's a gradual shift from speaking to writing, from listening to reading. So from the oral sounds to the graphic symbols, there is a gradual shift. The summarizing of the main principles of structure for the students' use when the structures are already familiar. So once they become familiar with certain linguistic structures, then the main rules or the principles are given. Seventhly, the shortening of the time span between a performance and the pronouncement of its rightness or wrongness without interrupting the response. So immediate feedback, stimulus is followed by a response, and then immediate reinforcement is given. Number 8, the minimizing of vocabulary until all common structures have been learned. The study of vocabulary only in context, not in isolation. Number 9, sustained practice in the use of language only in the molecular form of speaker-hearer situation. So a continuous sustained practice is given to the speaker through question answers by the teacher, where two people, the teacher and the student, are involved. And practice in translation only as a literary exercise at an advanced level, which of course comes far later in audiolingual method.